Good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. I still don't understand how you guys get in my living room every single Monday. It makes no sense. So, for you who have come before, thank you very much for returning. For those who have been here for the first time, we would love it if you would open up your mics. We'd love to hear you laugh. We are comedians. That is our cocaine. And if you don't laugh, we have to go get the real stuff, and we can't afford the real stuff. So if you don't mind, you don't have a lot of noise going on, please open up those mics. If you feel like it and you have some clothes on, please open up your video as well. We're not prudes, but clothes would be distraction. Yeah, we need that. This is our 67th version of this, which we started during the pandemic. So basically, you can do the math. We've done pretty much 2 a month for over 2 years, and still getting audience members, still getting comics who want to do it. We'll push forward on this. It is a free show, and we would love it if you would spread the word. We'd love to have more audience members. I can follow us at Button Down Comedy on Facebook and Instagram. We do 2 of these a month. If you're in the area of Asheville, North Carolina, we do a live show on the first Friday of every month. Love to see you at that as well. Also, if you enjoy the comics, please follow them on social media. Comics, when you get a chance, put your social media information in the chat so people can get that. But you can also look at people's names on Facebook and Instagram, and they should pop up. While this is a free show, and I don't want to put any pressure on anybody, if you have a good time and you want to show that, please think about sending some money for the comics. We've set up 2 donation sites. On Button Down Comedy on Cash App, and on PayPal, it's paypal.me/BD. I'll put that stuff in the chat later as well. But have fun. Enjoy the show. Please laugh as much as possible. I've been realizing that I'm getting old. And when I say that, I'm to the point now where I'm like a prepubescent girl. I'm just waiting for any day now. And I believe that voodoo dolls are real, and I want to find the asshole that's got mine, because every single morning he puts it in different spots. And dick pics have changed since I was younger. When I was younger, it involved an overcoat, you know. Huh. I was in a bar and I heard this girl say, "I suck a mean dick." I've never been so disappointed to have a nice dick in my life. And if you have a room full of guys who wants a big dick, you'll hear a lot of yeah, usually from the young guys. Because as we've matured and had more experience, the older gentlemen, we know a big dick is that what you want is a no complaint size dick. Big enough that she won't say, "Is it in yet?" But small enough that she will put it in her mouth. Because remember, that woman said she sucked a mean dick, not a big one. Rom-coms have ruined it for men. They've just screwed us up totally. You see a rom-com movie, they have a good date. Guy takes flowers and candy the next day to her work, right? So romantic. I did that. She goes, "I didn't tell you where I worked." Security. And the thing is, relationships versus being single. In a relationship, you gotta deal with their shit. When you're single, you have to deal with your shit. And you realize just how much they used to clean up because your apartment looks awful. And ladies always look better than, see a woman in a beautiful dress. Come on. See her out of the beautiful dress. Definitely come on. But they look better in my dress shirt. It's not fair. I only look good in the dress. So I'm driving earlier today, and it's like bumper to bumper traffic. We're like going 2 miles an hour, and my GPS alert says, "Speed check ahead." Really? Bring it on. Bring it. Come on. I dare you. I double dare you. Give 2 miles an hour to get a speed check. But I was stopped by a cop recently. He walks up the door. He goes, "Do you know why I stopped you?" I'm like, "What? You don't know why you stopped me? I mean, if I guess, do I get off?" I mean, that's a stupid question. That's like saying, "Do you know why I murdered you?" Hey, I'm talking to you. Anybody done the 23andMe? Round of applause if you've done the 23andMe. Anybody? I tried. I was a bit disappointed. I thought it was slang for a gangbang. Those gas station boner pills. I mean, I still don't understand why you'd want to have a boner at the gas station. I mean, that is the worst. Well, prison boner pills would probably be worse. I was talking to some guy. He was saying how met up with this girl and they decided to hook up and went back to her place. And of course, before anything got too into it, she excused herself to go to the bathroom and brush her teeth. And he heard her, and then she was doing that little gag. He said that kind of turned him on. I said it really turns me on when they don't gag. I've been taking this for my sinuses, and it is disgusting. I think they do that so you don't overuse it, but it lingers. So I'm like trying to get rid of it. So I'm drinking lots of water, or should I say lots of disgusting tasting water. I tried some disgusting tasting grapes. I even got ginger snap, really strong ginger, right? Disgusting tasting ginger snaps. I gotta remember to eat first, then spray, because it's. Saw a sign that said 2023, be with Jesus. Are they wishing me death? It's awfully passive aggressive, but I think they're wishing me death. You see the glass half full, glass half empty. If you see the glass half full, you're an optimist. If you see the glass half empty, you're a pessimist. I see glass half full. I think somebody's not that thirsty, or really, really stingy on their drinks. I was reading that some researchers found that there's over 10,000 nerve endings in the clitoris. 10,000. 10,000. And we can't find any of them. But we do find that last nerve. And ladies, they found that what you eat affects how you taste. I had to stop eating my girlfriend's pussy because she started eating my ass. That is my first comic on the stage for you. Our first comic comes to us from Greenville, South Carolina. I have done some virtual shows with him. He is, I'm not sure how long have you been doing this, Coble?
What's that?
How long have you been doing comedy?
About 5.5 years.
5.5 years? Okay, about the same as me then. So please, warm round of applause for a very funny gentleman, Coble Panetti.
All right, guys, how you doing?
Hey.
So I've recently come to terms with the fact that I'm a boring person, and in the last week, I've had 2 separate people use the word neutral to describe me. But I'm a very musical person. Who here likes music? I'm sure music, But like, I have this issue where songs just get chronically stuck in my head for like weeks at a time, and like it's kind of a blessing and a curse. But like, the weird thing of it is that like sometimes I can't even tell if it's a song I've heard or something I've made up in my head. I've had this song stuck in my head for like a week, and it goes something like kill, 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 kill. Does anybody know that song? I thought it was Buffett for a while, but I looked it up and I'm not Buffett. Y'all know these AI photo generators? You type in some text and it'll spit out a photo accordingly. Guys, I've been trying to get Muppets Zapruder film to work for a week. No dice. Eric Clapton throws his son out a window worked like a charm. Type my name Coble Panetti into an AI photo generator, and a pasta dish comes up. Feels good. Feels good. I was listening to this podcast the other day on death positivity. If you don't know what that is, it's just like embracing death as a part of life, not living in fear of death. But guys, I'm still working on life positivity. If I get any more death positive, that could be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need any more of that in life. On Twitter, you'll see the supposedly real QAnon Epstein Island client list, and like they'll throw some names on there that like are proven predators, like the Nickelodeon guy. But then you'll see names like Tom Hanks, and you're like, really? I mean, I could see Chet Hanks, but Tom? I mean, like Tom Brady can make out with his son on social media, and he's not on there. It's just bizarre. And you'll just like be looking through the list, and it's like Betty White. Don't meet your heroes, but I sincerely doubt that Betty White is ass ramming children. I tried making a sex tape, and guys, it did not go as planned. Do not do a sex tape unless you feel really good about your body. I was looking at the video like, oh my God, is that what I look like? And the audio, that was even worse. Do y'all remember in Forrest Gump, when Forrest Gump's mother has sex with the school administrator so he can go to normal school, and then the guy walks out and Forrest is like, he. That was me. That's what I sounded like. Ugh, gosh. If you ever want to be around someone who will tell you way too much information, stuff that you just don't need to hear, be sober around someone doing cocaine. Loading on you. I was sober around my friend. He was doing cocaine, and we were talking politics for a while. And he says, and I said to him, I was like, I think we agree on most things, but I think I'm a little more left wing than you, a little more liberal. He said, nah, man, I'm so liberal, I don't even care if people fuck animals. I said, God damn, that's pretty fucking liberal. But, I've never seen that in a presidential debate or anything, but I'm not sure what party that is affiliated with. I told my friend the other day that I went to a horseback riding camp as a kid, and he said, God, that has to be the gayest thing you've ever done. And I was like, how could that be gay? There weren't any other guys there for me to have sex with. I remember being in middle school, and guys would be like, would you suck dick for $1 billion? Gay. And I'm like, ask me that now. I'd suck my dad's dick for $1 billion. Billion? Yeah, sloppy time. It's gonna happen. It's not actually gonna happen. The most he's ever offered up is a few hundred, so no worries on that front. The first time I ever got really high in high school at my parents' house, I was walking into the kitchen to make some food for myself, because I had the munchies or whatever. And I knock over a plant, and the pot shatters and spills dirt everywhere. And me being the genius that I am, I was like, oh, here's what I'll do. I'll pour some water on the dirt and then mop it up, like an idiot. And then my mom walks on me making a mud bog in our kitchen. She just shakes her head and was like, God damn it, why did I drink when I was pregnant with you? It's and then turned around and left. So I learned something about myself that day. This was interesting. I lost my job during the pandemic. So there was a period of time where I was unemployed during that tenure, and I was online looking for ways to make extra money, and one of the sites recommended sperm donation, which, you know, seemed fine. You know, you spill your seed, you get paid money for it. But my main fear is like, what if they rejected me? I don't think I could have a doctor look me square in the eyes and say, nobody wants you to be the father of their children. Not a single person. Now get out of my office, you idiot. Take your jizz back, loser. I don't really like doctors very much, if you can't tell. All right, are y'all familiar with these churches where people like Holy Ghost and speak in tongues and whatnot? I've always wanted to go to one of those churches, mainly because I never got to yell in church as a kid. That would be fun. Just start scatting. Skip it up, skip it up, skip it up. Holy Ghost in me. Start making porn star noises. God, you're filling me. Your spirit. I love it. As you can probably tell, I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I did go to like a Christian camp my freshman year at high school, and it was pretty cool. Like we mostly just like played sports and hung out with our friends, you know. But then worship service night came around, and things got weird pretty fast. We walk in, and they're broadcasting a projection of Passion of the Christ, except they didn't start at the beginning. They just fast forwarded to the part where Jesus is getting the shit tortured out of him. And then they hand out slips of paper. They say, write down something that you need to confess to God. That's not manipulative at all. And on that same projector, they're showing past slips of paper where they've done this in the past. I'm not really paying attention, but then one shows up and it says, God, weed made me gay. And I mean, yeah, sometimes you got to get really high and make out with your bros, but I don't see how that's God's business. You know? All right, guys. My name's Coble Panetti. Thanks for watching. Your host, Geo Wagner.
Positive experiences at religious camp. So our next comedian, she was 2 years. I'm sorry, she got 2 minutes. Wrote jokes for Joan Rivers, Wendy's Williams show, performed all over Zoom and in many cities. Please give it up to Helaine Witt.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here, audience members. What could I say to people like Geraldine? Hi, Geraldine. Are you a male and a female at the same time? It's nice to meet one of them. I never met one of them before. You're Jeffrey and Geraldine, and we have Whiteside and Megan and Ian. Thanks for being here. You might be looking at me wondering, is that the love child of Barry Manilow and Dr. Ruth? I can't be. I'm almost Barry Manilow's age. Hi there, Geraldine. Are you heckling me? Well, I have a few things to say based on what Coble said. Like Eric Clapton was interviewed a few decades ago, and my family and I are big Eric Clapton fans. You can see in the background, I have a lot of rock and roll pictures and stuff at Beatles. And Eric Clapton said something to the effect of, I was high during that whole decade, man. Everything I did was crap. And I'm like, we made you God, Eric Clapton. We bought every record like a schmuck. And now you're like putting us down for being stupid enough to think you were the genius, Eric Clapton. And you're just poo-pooing it all, saying I was high as a kite. I did shit work in, oh, I could curse, during those days. Like, you can't win in circumstances like this. Thanks for laughing, Whiteside. And so I'm a rock and roll lover. I have a Beatle room because I'm not 16 years old. I'm 73 years old, but I act like I'm 16 years old. And I did go to England and wait for the Beatles in 1968 in the summer, but I didn't want to come back to college. I just wanted to stay there forever. And I fast forward, when I was 70 years old, I had to go to a doctor because I'm old and I have bone problems, and they shoot you up with this medicine, but that's not what I want to tell you about. So I get to the doctor's office and I wear t-shirts when I go to the doctor, and I had a Beatle t-shirt. I had Ringo, and the doctor is very arrogant, and he had all these awards on his wall, and he says, so, you know, I was at that Ringo concert last night. I said, so was I. He said, Ringo doesn't have it anymore. I mean, he's 80 something years old. Why doesn't he just pack it in? And I said, could anyone else have an opinion, Dr. Slander? The reason I call him Dr. Slander is I put him down and I'm on the airwaves and he could sue my ass really easily. So his real name's Dr. Wiener. So I said, Dr. Wiener, I see you have a lot of diplomas and, you know, valedictorian of this and that. You're the head of Northwell Health on Long Island. You're the best person. You helped me walk. What could I ask for more? But when it comes to the Beatles, could anyone else know anything? So he just ignored me because he's very arrogant. And then the next time I went, I had a Paul t-shirt, and he said, my nephew went to see Paul's son. So I'm like, okay, I slept in Paul's car. I walked down Abbey Road with Paul every day for a whole summer. But okay, Dr. Slander, you know more than everybody. I don't see Hard Day's Night up on your wall. I don't see a gold record for Help and Hard Day's Night. I'm just saying. So he says to me, oh, so I took out my phone, and there's a picture of John Lennon singing to me on the steps of Abbey Road. And he said this, and it's honest to God true what he said. You ready? He said, you bring John Lennon into this office, then I'll be impressed. I mean, that's the most horrible thing someone could say. It's so outrageous. I said, yeah, on a friggin' yellow submarine, you arrogant asshole. But then, since then, I've teased him when I go. And I went last week, he had 2 interns there. And I said, doctor, can I tell the story? He said, okay, I'm not going to sue you. Go ahead, tell your story. And that was big of him because he's so very arrogant. Hi, Doug. So I told the story, and when I was done, oh, and then I called him Dr. Slander. You know what he said? He said, I changed my mind. I am going to sue you now. After he heard the story again, every time I go, if he has an intern, I tell the story. But, oh, well, I just want to tell you that I'm a retired New York City school teacher. We have someone here, Doug, his children go to New York City schools. So it's really tough in the school I taught in. I mean, these kids didn't just chew their pencils. They swallowed the erasers and washed it down with vodka. 2nd grade. This kid was picking his teeth. It's so rude. That's my car antenna. The principal sat in his ivory tower. He said, everything that happens in the classroom is a teachable moment. So there I am breaking up a fight. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm old. And this kid goes, it's true. I said, stop. You're using your adverbs incorrectly. He strangled you terribly. This is a teachable moment. I was teaching measurement in my classroom, 2nd grade, and the school doesn't give you money for supplies. You have to bring your own or buy it. So I went home when I was teaching measurement. I brought in a bathroom scale, a Weight Watchers scale, and a cocaine scale. Only kidding. I never went to Weight Watchers. It was unbelievable. You know, when we were young, I don't know if anyone here is close to my age, we had these readers called Dick and Jane readers. We didn't get to read Goosebumps and whatever the kids read today, whatever they want to read. No, we were told what to read. So the Dick and Jane readers had a white picket fence, and it had Dick and Jane, and the words was something like run, Spot, run, see, Spot, run, go, Sally, go. So the principal said, you can't use Dick and Jane readers for these kids. So I remade the books myself. And they went like this: run, Spot, run. Dick's got a gun. Spot is a pit bull. Run, Sally, run. And those were the 12th graders. Well, I'm glad I'm retired now, Geo, George. I'm glad I'm retired. because the books today in New York City would go like this: run, spot, run, Jane's got a dick, see Sally run, run, spot, run. I'm glad I'm retired. I hate this thing, the participation trophies. Every kid gets an award just for showing up. Unbelievable. That would have been good on my honeymoon. In fact, both honeymoons, because I was married twice, because they participated, but very little was accomplished. I'm getting old, you know. George, you like to be called George or Geo?
Either way.
Yeah,
Geo's
we
right.
call you late for dinner. So he was talking about getting older. I'm much older, and you know, you're on Zoom every day for 3 years. Are you kidding me, Megan? I mean, I used to say I had exclamation points here. I have I have parentheses here. I have pound signs here. I could lay down, you could send a text message on me. But as the 3 years went on, and I'm 73 now, things changed. Like now I have an accordion here. I have a woman dressmakers, one of those dummies they used to fit a dress here. Unbelievable. I mean, if they had these bags in the Rockaways on Long Island in New York during Hurricane Sandy, the A train never would have stopped running. They would have just protected us all. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm losing my hair, but I know where it's going. It's going to my knuckles. Heard of the information age? I'm headed for the inflammation age. Unbelievable. And Geraldine, wait till you see what happens to your legs right here when you get to be my age. You get rainbows. It's amazing. They're called varicose veins. I changed mine to the Google roadmap to adventure. This road takes you to the Sterling Forest. I'll break that down to young gals like Megan and Debbie Bloom. You know what? I have a Sterling Forest because I didn't do the Brazilian. You girls, I missed that whole decade. The Brazilian. The last time I had a Brazilian was 1988 behind the Belmont racetrack. He was from Rio de Janeiro. That road takes you to the Dead Sea. I don't have to explain that at my age. Boy, oh boy, when we look back at this pandemic, right? It's unbelievable. When you think back 3 whole years, I remember when we were going for the vaccine and everybody, you know, in New York, everything's keeping up with the Joneses, right? So people said, where are you getting your vaccine? Did you get an appointment for your vaccine yet? It was like a status symbol. So my friend's a nurse. She stayed on the phone a long time. She got me an appointment, and she got me an appointment in the Bronx, New York. And people said to me, going to Jones Beach to get mine. I don't have to pay for a toll. I don't have to sit in traffic for an hour. I'm going to Jones Beach. Like, okay, you want to brag about where you're getting your vaccine? I just want to live. I don't care, you know? So I'm going to the Bronx, and there's traffic. There's 2 tolls to get there, and $15 each way, something like that. The gas prices, the traffic, and then stepping over the mattresses and dead bodies, going to the place that I mean, the parking lot only cost $5, but I gave the guy a tip because my car was actually there when I got back. The worst part about going to the Bronx for my vaccine, you're not going to believe this, Bruce, but my family wasn't allowed to like the New York Yankees. It was a deep embedded prejudice for the Brooklyn Dodgers my whole life because my father was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. He grew up near there. So I had to stop at a red light next to Yankee Stadium on that trip. That was the worst part of going to the Bronx altogether, Doug. It was just being near Yankee Stadium. I know you live near, kind of near there. Unbelievable. Talking about the Bronx, you know, Bruce and I get these messages called Thumbtack. Do you know? Thumbtack is like they ask for entertainers. So we get these dings all day long. Ding. DJ wanted in Elmhurst, Queens. Ding. Singer wanted in Massapequa. Ding. Circus acts wanted in the Bronx. Circus acts? What kind of circus act are you talking about? in the Bronx. I mean, there's traffic, there's cars, you know, I'm trying to explain what the Bronx is like. It's a very busy, citified place. So I'm thinking, is it the elephants? The elephants that marched to the Barnum and Bailey circus that no longer exists? Is it an elephant that you want in the Bronx? How's the elephant gonna get to the Bronx? I can just see him with a cigar in his mouth. Well, are you gonna pay me as much as Barnum and Bailey friggin' circus? I'm not going to no Bronx. What am I gonna do? Walk up the subway steps? You better get me a mani petty. You better get me a petty petty. Because if I'm going to the Bronx, you better pay me the money. I mean, an elephant going into an apartment in the Bronx, how's he gonna get up the steps? So anyway, then I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe it's the flying Wallendas. Maybe they want a tightrope act in the Bronx to walk over the wires across Bruckner Expressway. Say the person to be that brave, even if you were the flying Wallendas. I know, cocaine on the other end. That's what. Maybe it's clowns. Maybe they wanted to hire a clown in the Bronx. Well, you know what? Those clowns in the circus have the smiley face, and then they have the one with the frown, but they have the frown right here, which means they killed someone in prison. Unbelievable. Any questions so far? I am a school teacher. I wrote some jokes for Joan Rivers. She was famous. She passed away for you youngsters. And the first joke I wrote that she told on the Late Show with Johnny Carson, it's funny that it didn't do so well. And I was proud that she told my joke, but it went like this. It was 1980 something, and Olivia Newton-John, rest in peace, her song, Let's Get Physical. I'm sure you know that. I hope so. Anyway, youngsters. So anyway, Joan Rivers comes out. She's the host for the biggest nighttime show of all. I was very proud of it. She comes out and she goes, "It's income tax day today, and my accountant's dancing around the office singing, 'Let's get fiscal,' like fiscal year, FISCAL." And people didn't laugh, just like this. And then she said, "Let's get fiscal." And again, mild laughter. She said it 3 times. I thought that would be my big joke. So she got to tell my joke 3 times on the Late Show with Johnny Carson. Unbelievable. I was proud of that. This is fun. I use OnStar. It's like a human GPS system, but I also use GPS. But one day I was in Manhattan and I had to get home. It was a Sunday. And you know, the people who are helping you during the pandemic, they had to work from home. So there'd be a recording. If you hear a baby crying, or if you don't hear us in our regular office environment, please forgive, please have patience, because we're working from home. So what happens, I call OnStar. I'm in the middle of Manhattan. I had to get home, and I'm on 5th Avenue. And the lady sounded like she was at Bronx. You could hear mimosas glasses clanking, and she goes, "Hello, can I help you? This is OnStar." And I said, "I'm on 5th Avenue, Manhattan, and I'd like to go home." So she starts directing me to 5th Street instead of 5th Avenue. And just like I told you how the Bronx is very congested, when you're in Manhattan and someone makes a mistake that puts you in 5th Street instead of 5th Avenue, how many hours could that cost you, Bruce? You know, 2 or 3 hours. So I'm in the traffic, and there's a gay pride parade. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And they're taking my car and they're rocking it back and forth. I turn on Katy Perry. I kissed a girl and I liked it. I went to my trunk. I got a flannel shirt. I said, "Please leave me alone. Lady, street, get me home." Well, you've been a wonderful audience. I've captured you for 16 minutes and 12 seconds. On with the show. Thank you, George.
Woo! Hey, Helaine.
Woo!
Yeah. Let's get physical with Elena. As we know, we're comics, it's fiscal, just doesn't work with us. Our next meeting has been doing stand up at Dangerfields, Broadway Club, Greenwich Village Comedy Club and the Comic Strip Live in New York City, as well as Governor's, the Brokerage, and my father's place on Long Island. Please give a big round of applause, Bruce Lipsky.
Hey, thank you very much, everybody. I do appreciate it. Appreciate the great audience tonight. I have a big vault in my house to keep all my valuables, and I opened it the other night and I caught my son and his girlfriend naked in there. I said, "What are you guys doing in here?" He said, "Dad, I'm following your advice. We're practicing safe sex." And I remember when my son was 13 years old, I caught him playing with a deck of cards with naked women on them. I said, "What kind of games do you play with that?" He said, "Lots of solitaire." And I always thought the noise was coming from his room. He was playing with his other joystick. But he just graduated law school, my son. And I told him, now that you're working for a prestigious firm, you got to dress the part. So I said I'd take him shopping to get him some clothing. In fact, I got him his first practice suit. My wife and I have been together 30 years now. And thank you very much. But lately, things have been tough. My relationship with her has been like my savings account. Very little interest. But in order to spike things up, I hired a couple of strippers to come to the house. And she got so excited when they arrived, and they said to her, "Where do you want us to start?" So she said, "Why don't you go to the master bedroom and work your way down the hallway? That's where we have all the old wallpaper." My wife got one of those fancy Keurig coffee machines. You ever hear of those Keurig coffee machines? Every morning as a wake me up, she has a K-cup. Me, every morning, I prefer a D-cup. Yeah. So, I mean, it says I've been together 30 years, and sometimes, she gets on my case. The other day, she said to me, "Bruce, lately when I talk to you, you don't seem to be paying attention. You have loss of hearing?" I said, "No, I got loss of listening." And she just take some bread baking lessons, my wife. And I'm starting to question, her one of her recipes. I never knew you made soda bread with Pepsi. Yeah, I understand that. But think about it. When I first met my wife, our love was infectious. Now our relationship is just chronic. As you get older, the research says your skin gets thinner, which is kind of weird because there's 30 years of marriage. I developed a much thicker skin. But my wife and I, used to do a lot of international travel. We don't do much international travel anymore. In fact, I only travel the continent. But I remember we were on a jungle safari, an all-inclusive jungle safari. We woke up one morning and we were surrounded by a pack of wild animals. They had their claws out, foaming at the mouth. Then I realized the bell rang for the breakfast buffet. It was like a senior tsunami, a pensioner stampede. It was crazy. All for that last prune dance. And we were in Paris, France, a couple of years ago, and we actually visited a guillotine factory. And the sign outside the guillotine factory said, "Going out of business." So I asked the guy, "Why are you going out of business?" He said, "Lately, it's been really difficult to get ahead. Nobody wants to stick their neck out for you anymore. It's difficult." I have lots of friends. In fact, one of my friends is a funeral director. He just took over a new funeral home, and business hasn't been so good. So he came up with a new slogan, and it reads, "We welcome all our new clients with folded arms." In my town, every year they have a big festival. It's like a farmer's market. This year they had tons of animals, hundreds of animals. Even had some peacocks. Surprised me, because I never knew those little green vegetables had penises. And then they had an award for the pea with the biggest cock. I think it was won by the Black Eyed Pea. Not sure. Yeah, I remember, I was thinking about this the other day. Helaine was talking about Brooklyn and Bronx and things like that. Recently, I was in Coney Island in Brooklyn, and there was a big fire on the amusement pier, and the fun house burnt down. Now all that's left is smoke and mirrors. I have a nephew who is getting married, and I told him I'd fly him out to Vegas. So I took him out to Vegas, bachelor party, and I rented some suites. At least that's what the escort service called them. It was Almond Joy, and my favorite, Butterfingers. Beautiful lady, beautiful lady. He said, I have a good friend of mine who's a confirmed bachelor, single, goes to all these singles bars. He tells me all the time he has no problem meeting women. So I asked him, what's your secret? He says, every time I go to these singles bars, I carry a roll of Bounty paper towels. And I said, why? He said, because they're the quicker picker-upper. I have a lot of friends. In fact, one of my friends is a guitarist and songwriter. And he told me to me and my wife the other day, he said, Bruce, I just wrote a song about chickpeas. I said, that's fantastic. Can you hum us a few bars? I even have some friends who just moved into a new haunted house. They spent a lot of money, this big mansion, it's a haunted house. You're hearing all these crazy sounds there. So I said, maybe you should hire a medium. He said, I spent all my money. I said, then maybe you should hire a small. And that's, as a housewarming gift, I got him a gift certificate at Bed Bath and Way Beyond. Let's see what else. Another friend of mine is a retired math teacher who just bought a farm, a big farm, acres and acres. So I asked him, how do you plow your fields? Do you use John Deere? He says, no, I use a protractor. I'm sure everybody's feeling the pinch these days. Everything seems to be double. Prices are double. My oil bill, my chin is double, my vision is double. Even my wife's indemnity policy. It's tough, man. It's very tough. But try to keep up with things. In fact, my wife and I are trying to get into the outdoors. So we decided to go to Dick's, which is a sporting goods store by us. And I went to the outdoors area, to the tent area. And this guy tried to sell me a $700 tent. I said, this is ridiculous. I started walking out. He said, why are you walking out? I told him I didn't like his pitch. I got a letter in the mail the other day. It was from the Nassau County Jury Department. They want to put me on the bench over there. So I got to the bench over there, and the prosecuting attorney was only interviewing guys with big penises. I guess he wanted to assemble a well-hung jury. But it's his right under our penal code. I guess he wanted the judge to put out a stiff sentence. But I'm getting old. Helaine was talking about getting old, and I've been going to a dermatologist regularly. I got these things above my eyes over here, these crow's feet. My crow's feet are so bad, they need orthotics. But I'm thinking of changing dermatologists. I just don't like the way he greets me. George, how would you feel? You walk into your dermatologist's office and the first thing he says, hey, Bruce, give me some skin. Man, that just really irked me so much. It really did. But, what are you going to do? Because growing up, I never seemed to get the breaks. You know how hard that is when you're 4 years old and you're trying to ride a bicycle? That's tough, man. It's tough. I got so many different friends. In fact, I have a friend who's in the witness protection program. But this guy's a slob. I guess he's trying to stay incognito. And I got invited to a big gala event the other day, a big formal event. I was wearing, my tuxedo and everything. And a waitress came up to me and said, "Would you like a drink?" And I said, "Mai Tai." And she looked at me and said, "Yeah, it looks good on you." Yeah. Yeah. What can I tell you? It's all good. I'm also a pet lover. I have a big aquarium and I have a lot of different fish in there. And my fish are really smart. In fact, one of my fish just graduated medical school. Now he's a board certified sturgeon. Another one just became a licensed locksmith. And another one became an audiologist because he's good at herring. Yeah. I don't know about you, but in my neighborhood, there's a lot of new restaurants opening up. We have a restaurant that just opened up in my neighborhood called Good Pizza. Yeah, Good Pizza. I mean, I'm no marketing genius. Who would settle for a restaurant named Good Pizza? Maybe very good pizza, excellent pizza, the best pizza. Who would settle for that? Probably people who like a crappy cannoli, a mediocre manicotti, or a lousy lasagna. Me, I refuse to eat any food that has low self-esteem. A new restaurant just opened up in my town. This is a true story. It was an Indian restaurant. It was called Sam Rat. Sam Rat. And I looked it up. Sam Rat in Hindu means emperor. But in my neighborhood, when you combine rat and restaurant, it has a totally different meaning. I suggested they close down and become a kosher restaurant and call it Ben's New Delhi. Yeah, but I guess they didn't listen. But there's another restaurant that just opened up. It's opened up by former inmates. It's one of these new age restaurants and fancy foods and drinks. They're calling it Confusion. And to top it off even more, you heard of those gastro pubs and everything? That's another new thing. A new type of restaurant opened in my neighborhood by stomach doctors. They're calling it the gastrointestinal pub. Good food, craft beer, and discount colonoscopies. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Anybody here into golf? George, you like to golf? Okay. I got into golfing a couple of years ago, and I finally became a scratch golfer. And somebody said, "Bruce, how'd you do it so fast?" I said, "Plenty of practice, plenty of patience, plenty of poison ivy." My neighbor just got into golfing, but he's a terrible golfer. I think he must have worked in a deli because every time he gets on, he's always slicing his balls. I have no luck with the golf stuff. I bought a new golf cart, and my tire got a hole in one. Not fair. Not fair. Different things going on in my life. I actually had to hire a plumber recently to come to my house to fix the toilet. And I hear him in the background in my house. He's singing these arias. He's singing all these opera songs. So I went in, I said, "You got a great voice. You should go professional. You certainly got the pipes." Yeah. Yeah, you certainly got the pipes, Yeah. Let's see what else is going on in my life. I have elderly parents. I don't know if anybody has elderly parents. I got a call from my 93-year-old dad the other day. He said, "Bruce, guess what? They just opened up a new comedy club in my neighborhood." I said, "Dad, that's fantastic. What's it called?" He said, "Stand Up MRI." I said, "Dad, did you check it out?" He said, "Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't think the place ever closes." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Every time I go by there, the sign says open MRI." And I worry about my dad. He just recently went for his physical, and the doctor called me up. He said, "Mr. Lipsky, I have some concerns about your dad." I said, "What's wrong?" He said he showed up to my office carrying a small chair. I said, "Did you ask him why?" He said, "Yeah." He said that was his stool sample. I just hope I don't inherit his stool sample. because he's always been complaining of hard stools. Doctor said, get him to the hospital for some tests. We're in the hospital, walking down the hallway, and this technician is wheeling this machine with all these crazy tubes and hoses. My father stops him and says, "Mister, you're not going to hook me up to that machine today, are you?" The guy says, "I hope not for your sake. It's a carpet cleaner. Don't worry about him." You know, after the hospital, I always take my parents out after their medical appointments. I take them to their favorite restaurant, a place called Friendly's. I don't know if you have Friendly's down by you, but every time my parents go out, they're never friendly. They're lukewarm at best. You know, so we're sitting in the restaurant, and my mother calls over the man, and she says, "Mister, it's bad enough my eggs are runny and my toast is burnt. But why don't you serve coffee in those nice brown Friendly mugs anymore?" He said, "Lady, we stopped doing it because people kept on stealing them." She said, "Oh my, what a travesty. I can't believe it. Only needed one more to complete my set." Now I have a mother with a mug shot for being a mug thief. And I tried with my parents. It was their anniversary coming up, so I took them to a fancy restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants. So we're sitting down in the restaurant, and the mother starts complaining. She says, "This is the worst soup I've ever had." I said, "Ma, that's the finger bowl." So when she finally got her dinner, she started eating it. She slammed down her fork and said, "This is the worst Greek salad I've ever eaten." I said, "Ma, what do you expect? We're at a Chinese restaurant. Can't win with them. I'm afraid I'm going to turn into my parents." You know, I just turned 67 years old. I looked in the mirror, looked like a rusted old 56 Buick. This body is totally shot and out of alignment. My rear end is making funny sounds. My hoses leak, and my ball joints have all dried out. I said, "Oh, I better get Mako." Mako says, "Oh, no, you better get Medicare." It used to be in my house, if I had a leak, I'd call my plumber. Now I call my urologist. And he's $50 cheaper. I remember back in the day, Helaine and I in New York City used to go to Studio 54, the premier discotheque in the world. I'd get out there, I'd walk across the floor, I'd see a hot chick like Helaine, and we'd get on that dance floor and bust a move. Now, I'm afraid to take my wife dancing. I might bust a hip. It's hard, man. It's getting worse. I'm starting to forget things. I swear my foam mattress has a better memory than I do. And my wife, she said, "Bruce, let's get down tonight." I said, "Honey, I don't mind getting down, but how the hell am I going to get up?" And I used to have a full head of hair. I used to part my hair. Now my hair's just departed. Yeah. I used to use something to keep my hair stiff, called a product called Vitalis back in the day. Now, if I want to keep things stiff, I depend on Cialis. Well, I used to be a photography buff too. I used to develop film using my Polaroid. Now at my age, the only thing I'm developing are hemorrhoids. It's not easy, man. It's not easy, but it's all good. You know, you get older, you got to stay in shape. So I started an exercise program, but I only exercise late at night between the hours of 3 and 5 in the morning. I'm running sprints from the bedroom to the bathroom. My wife calls it my fleet of pee. Good news is the good news, I got my time down under 6 seconds. The bad news is I only can hold my pee for 4.2. My wife is a fitness nut. She takes something called goat yoga. I don't know if you ever heard of this, Geraldine and Jeffrey. You know, goat yoga. This is when you're in a studio, you're lying on a mat, and these horny, hairy creatures are all running around. And goats too. Yeah. And my wife finds it very therapeutic and relaxing, especially when the goat jumps on her back and licks her ears. I said, "Wait a second. When I tried that last week, you slapped me and threw me out of the bedroom. Did you pay a goat to do that?" She said, "Well, he has fresher breath and better technique." And I remember before I met my wife, I used to date a lot of people. I even dated a very famous TV weather person. I remember the first time we got intimate, it was like a bad winter forecast. She was predicting 10 to 12. All she got was 2 to 4. You know how angry she got? Now I know why they name hurricanes after women. I remember another woman I used to date. Her name was Samantha Petrie. I was really angry when I broke up with her. She was quite the dish, you know? Oh, what can I tell you? I mentioned 30 years of marriage, 30 years of wedded bliss. No wedded blisters, you know, because all these years she rubbed me the wrong way and I got the calluses to prove it. You know, we don't have a traditional marriage. When we renew our vows every year, it's kind of different. I don't renew our vows. I get a performance review. Last year was tough. She said, Bruce, if you worked for me, I would have fired your ass a long time ago. I got 3 months probation and took away all my fringe benefits. Where's human resources when I need them? She tries really hard, my wife. You know, she tries to keep the house together, but she thinks everybody in the house is a food critic. Everybody's Gordon Ramsay. She'll spend an hour looking for a recipe, another hour shopping, and another hour cooking. And in 30 seconds, my son will say, "You're cooking that shitty chicken again?" She got so mad. She said, Bruce, you think I'm running a 5-star restaurant in this house? I said, apparently you are, because every time you cook, I have reservations. Now she's into this organic food. Oh my gosh. She sent me to the produce guy, the vegetable store for organic vegetables. I'd never shopped in the store before. I didn't even know what an organic vegetable is. So I asked the produce guy, how can I tell which is organic? He said, if they're half the size and twice the price, then they're organic. I said, I think I drive one of those. It's called a Prius. And she wanted organic kale. I don't even know what kale is. So I asked the produce guy, what is kale? And he said, think of kale as lettuce's bitter cousin. Oh yeah, I have one of those. You know, she's 55 years old, been divorced 4 times. She must be kale. And now my wife is telling me kale is this new superfood of 2022. It's actually 2022. Kale is a superfood. But to me, superfood, growing up, you know, Helaine, we didn't have superfoods. We just had food. You know, I don't get it. To me, kale is like kryptonite. You know, Superman can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Kale will clean up my colon in a single serving. To me, the real superfood of 2023 is Chipotle. Yeah, Chipotle. But my son says, no, Dad, it's Chipotle. I said, wait a second, you got a 30 on your Spanish midterm. You're correcting me? You know, I don't care if it's Chipotle or Chipotle. I really do love their pulled pork fajitas. Yeah. Yeah. And my wife, you know, during this, you know, pandemic and everything, you know, obviously we were locked home. She got into spending money on Amazon. She got hooked into Amazon Prime and everything else like that. We get so many packages. They just rezoned my front porch as a loading dock. I got boxes stacked up to roof. I feel like I'm like in a, you know, that movie On the Waterfront. And I'm afraid to pull any boxes out. I'm afraid they're all going to topple down. It's like the game of Jenga for giants. I'm constantly going from the first floor to the second floor, back down again. I'm like a personal delivery monkey. She calls me her Amazon primate. And my birthday was coming up. She said, Bruce, I want to get you something special. I said, how about a forklift? A weight belt, maybe a bigger house. But it's tough, you know, we have the only house in the block that has its own zip code. We have valet parking for the FedEx guy. It's come to that. And my wife has discovered this new thing called Zappos. Anybody hear of Zappos? That's an online shoe retail. Okay. You can order 100 pairs of shoes. If you don't like them, you can send them right back. We had a wedding to go to. My wife ordered 37 pairs of shoes. The FedEx guy went so many trips, he got his 10,000 steps in that delivery. He was there so long, he got a ticket for loitering. But annoyed me the most, he just dropped all the boxes on the front porch, and I had to bring them all into the house. I was so exhausted. I finally said to my wife, "Your feet are killing me." And what really scared me and worried me, the other day I saw my wife painting in the driveway, in big letters, reserved for UPS. Reserved for UPS. What was that all about? You know? Then I think she's having an affair with the UPS guy. Because every time he comes over, she's always bragging about how big his package is. And now she's insisting on paying extra for backdoor delivery. I'm starting to wonder if my fulfillment center is lacking. I know what Brown's doing for her, but what's he doing for me? It's frustrating. He handed me a box the other day. He handed me a box the other day. Brown shorts, construction boots, and a clipboard. Now, anytime I want to have sex, I got to sign for it. This is making my family life miserable. The only smiles in my house now are the ones in the cardboard boxes. But it's not that bad. It really is not that bad. We do love doing things together. Broadway shows, nice dinners, the UPS guy. All good, all good. But also, I don't know if anybody here has pets. We had a cat for 23 years. 23 years we had a cat. And after this cat passed away, my wife said, "I want a dog, I want a dog." But she couldn't get just any type of dog. She got one of those designer dogs, spent $4,000 on this dog. She carries it around like a Gucci handbag. Except the Gucci handbag only costs $2,000 and doesn't need to be walked 6 times a day. And she's named this dog Fabio. Dresses him in silk pajamas and a gold collar. I don't call him Fabio, I call him Houdini. Because with 2 wags of his tail, he's made my sex life completely disappear. Now sex is like a grand illusion without the handcuffs. You know how hard it is to perform when there's a wet nose, a panting tongue, and a smell of bad breath in your bed? And a dog? So difficult. And I tell you, this dog has taken over my bedroom. He lays on my side of the bed, on my pillow, next to my wife snoring and farting. What do you think I've been doing for the last 30 years? I'm starting to wonder who the man of the house is now. I'm afraid to get bitten and scratched at by my wife. Afraid to kick him out of bed. And this dog has restless leg syndrome. I don't know if he's dreaming about kicking me or the UPS guy out of the bedroom. And this dog just had his physical. She serves in the science diet. I get the science fiction diet. His cholesterol is 37 points below mine. He's not walking out pre-diabetes. But the good news, we both tested negative for fleas. Yeah. That's the pet business. It's a big business, let me tell you. In fact, my wife hadn't been feeling well recently. She had to go for an operation, and before her operation, she had to get a CAT scan and a PET scan in 1 week. I said to her, "What's next? Check for fleas?" And the way she's been acting lately, I said to the doctor, "Maybe you should check her for distemper." And she said to the doctor, "Maybe you should test him for my foot and his mouth disease." And one couple of final notes, with all this marriage, so we've been married all these years, and over the course of time, things start to get lumpy and bumpy and loose. And that's our mattress, basically. So she went out, decided she wants to get a new mattress. She spent $3,000 on an avocado mattress. Avocado brand mattress. She said she's going green. She's not going green, she's spending my green. She says it's organic. I don't want organic in my bedroom, I want orgasmic. And this mattress, I'm telling you, it was a weird feeling mattress. And after a few weeks, things started to smell rotten and it was lumpy. It was disgusting. George, I'm talking about the mattress, not my wife. Okay, just so you know. All right. I said to my wife, I feel like I'm sleeping on a bed of guacamole. I feel like a fajita. What's next? Sour cream pillows? But she also got one of those Craftmatic beds, the ones that you can adjust the head and legs. Don't piss your wife off when you have one of those things. We had an argument. I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth. I came back, the bed was in the shape of a V. I said, "I can't get into the bed tonight. She said, that's not the only V you're not getting into tonight. I guess I'm not going to be bringing her Taco Bell, right? Oh, man. But you know, our Tempur-Pedic turned into her Tempur-Pedic. Let me tell you. Yeah. Well, I basically think I've given you enough about my life over here. So as I said, I do appreciate everybody listening tonight. I'll just leave on it one other thing. You know, I just found a safe in my house and I couldn't open it up. I didn't have the combination, so I brought it to the locksmith. And I asked him, could you recommend a safe cracker? And he said, yeah, try Triscuits. They're low in fat, they taste delicious, and they have great fiber. Thank you very much. My name is Bruce Lipsky.
Woo! As always. Again, thank everybody for coming. I hope you had a great time. I know I didn't hear as many laughs, but I did see some videos going, and there were people laughing with their microphones on. So we will take it. We prefer to hear it next time. If you had a good time, please come back. We'll have our next show on the 24th. We have basically have the second and fourth Friday of each month is when we have our virtual shows. And if you did have a good time, please follow the comics on social media. Follow Button Down Comedy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you really had a good time, Cash App, it's $Button Down Comedy, and PayPal, it's paypal.me/BD Comedy. Other than that, everybody have a great night. Please make it home safe.
Thank you, George. Appreciate everything.
Great job,
Thank you,
Tom.
George.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Fabulous